Welcome back, family. Mangituru Mzadi.
Mangituru Adam.
And this is PVTV. Today we want to talk about just a recap of the past 3 months, how we're doing mentally, physically, spiritually, and the ups and downs, I want to say, that we've had so far since we've been here. I don't know, Adam, you want to go first? I feel
yeah, I can go first. I've experienced a lot. So, man, if we just start off with our first month here, I got sick. I got the Banjul belly. And when I tell you, that was a whole experience. What made it worse is that we didn't really know where to shop the first 2 weeks of us being here. I want to say week to a week and a half, because by the end of the second week, we had help from our neighbors going to the market, the local market here. But that first week and a half, we thought we had to walk a good 1.5 miles, 2 miles to get to a market. And so that's when I caught Banjul belly. And most of you guys probably don't know, but Banjul belly is basically diarrhea and throwing up at the same time with a mild fever. And you get it from drinking the water, because a lot of the water here, so they have what is called soakaways. And the soakaways is basically when you use the restroom, it goes in a pipe under the building, and it goes into a hole that's in the ground. And so not many of those are airtight, so it leaks into the soil. And so your water can be contaminated coming from your borehole because of the soakaways. And it's hundreds and hundreds of buildings, hundreds and hundreds of houses. So just imagine what that can do to the water under the ground. And so some of the water has giardia, or there's another E. coli, and there's other kind of bugs that can affect your stomach and cause these conditions. And it caused the Banjul belly, and that's what I had. So one day I had Banjul belly, and we still had to get food, and the distance was too far for her to walk. So I'm the one that's walking all the way to the main road, which is 2 miles away, like I said. 3 miles this long. And on the way back, I threw up. I had to lay down. I threw up again. Had cold sweats. And I was I really had to focus to get home. It was really, really bad. But we're here for a reason, and I knew that I was going to make it home. I've been really bad sick before, and I just called back into my mind and just my conditioning, and I made it home. So that was one of the most stressful moments so far since I've been here. For me, physically and emotionally, that was one of the most stressful moments for sure. Now, in that same first month of us moving here, we got lost. And that was a spiritual one right there, where it was spiritually stressful and mentally stressful. It was right after we had a meeting with our association. And we were on the way home, and it was late at night. It was dark. We really didn't know the stops and public transport, because that's what we primarily use. In the Gambia, most people use public transport because gas is so expensive. Cars are usually I'll put it to you like this. In America, you can get a cash car for $5,000, $6,000. Here in the Gambia, cash cars are 200,000 dalasi, 300, 400,000 dalasi. So you really have to come up on some good money randomly to afford a cash car or something like that. So right now we still take public transport. And so it was early in us arriving here. It was late at night. We didn't know where we were stopping. We ended up going too far. And so when we got out, luckily, one of the members from the meeting was still with us. She was like, wait a minute, where are you supposed to be going? Rusambala is that way. And so she stuck with us. She carried her child. She was a ride or die. She made sure that we found a ride, and we ended up going through a neighborhood, snaking through some type of way. We still don't know the way. And we ended up making it home. And that was just in our first month. Yeah. We went through a lot in our first month.
Yeah. That was definitely one of the bigger ones that we went through. I don't know. I would say, one of our big setbacks. aspects is if a lot of you didn't know, we in America, we had a tiny home that we left behind, but
it was eventually stolen from us.
Yes, my mother decided to take over the home with the agreement that she would pay us $150 to stay. She decided instead, once we got here, that she was not going to do that. She was just going to live there. And so that took away our only source of income.
Yeah, at the time, that was it.
At the time. And even now, we're still feeling the impact from that. We're making it. Adam's parents have, helped us when they can. We have are doing jobs. We do have our biggest business where we do consultations, business development, websites, and things like that. And then
the different things we've invented since we've been here, like the trash bin, the stove. We've been selling those, as well as other jobs, because in the JYA we have several specialists like welders, masons, carpenters, plumbers, and I've done a couple of welding jobs for people, and so there's a lot of different things that we've been doing, hustling basically. Like in America, we worked 9 to 5. We worked every day from sun up to sundown. So that same mentality we brought here with us, and we hustle every day to provide for our children, to make sure that we can live the lifestyle that we want to live, and that they never feel impoverished or went through what we went through growing up. Because growing up, I've been through homeless shelters, eating, and when we were living in America, we were living in a tent at one point, so we've seen the ups and the downs. So we hustle every single day to make sure that our children don't have to ever experience what we had to experience.
Yeah. So I would say that was our biggest, or personally, I feel like that was one of my biggest downs that we've had.
Family deception is big.
That was, it financially, money comes, money goes, but the biggest down from that will always be the hurt heart, and the feelings and the emotions that come behind somebody doing something like that to you, that you would think in your mind would never do something like that. To you, even though in truth it's not her first time stealing from me, and it's her last time. But it's not her first time stealing from me, and I'm not surprised. But no matter how many times my mom has stolen from me, it hurts every single time. And so, that was the biggest down. But
been a lot of positives.
We've spoken on this channel so many times about the positive things that have happened to us here, the positive things that we know are going to happen to us here, and the energy that's just here in Africa, that when you wake up, that peace of mind, that you feel like there's nothing that you can put a name to that on. Like, you can't put a price on it. You can't really even put a feeling towards it. It's just something that is, and you just soak it up. And being in the sun and not being stuck in a brick building all day, every day.
It's crazy because you can literally feel sick, walk outside, and start feeling better.
Yes.
The energy here is real,
Yes.
And it's not just the sun, it's the food as well, because anytime you go back to a place where you're from and you're eating the food there, it hits your body differently. Your body is made for that environment, but the food that you're taking in is really beneficial, and it really shows in your energy level, in your thought process, everything else like that. Just in one example, when we were living in America, I could never eat fruit. I was allergic to all fruit. I got an allergic reaction, whether it was skin, in my throat, my nose, my eyes. It was an allergic reaction to it. Here I can eat everything: bananas, oranges, apples, pears, plums, peaches, grapes, whatever it is. I can eat it here with no allergic reaction. So it's been a huge spiritual change, a huge, physical change, psychological change, and you can see it on your children too, because within this first 3 months, I can see that the children are becoming way more expressive. They go outside way more than they ever did in America. Like she said, we primarily just stayed inside. In America, here, we go outside. We don't just stay in a brick building, We go outside often. We mingle. Our neighbors know us. The community knows us. Even outside the community, when we go to the main roads and the highways, people know us and they say, hey, how you doing? And a part of it is from our association. The other part of it is we are individuals that like to go out. And the other part of it is we do a lot. We every day, whether it's us being on TV or it's us going to different markets or it's us going to the countryside of the Gambia, we make sure that we are very, very, not nomadic because we live in one spot, but we move around quite a bit. We don't just stay in one area. So I feel like in this past 3 months, we've had a huge, huge learning experience. And we came right at the end of the rainy season. So we got a little bit of the rainy season. We saw the puddles, we saw a lot of muddy environment, and now it's transitioned into things are getting a little bit more drier. When was the last time it rained?
Yeah, rain season is over now.
I can't even remember the last time it rained.
So we're not seeing any rainy days, but
we live next to the ocean, so
we're seeing the cold. This is their winter.
Yes.
This is their cold season. So at nighttime, you can really feel like how cool it gets from that ocean breeze. But it'll never compare to a winter night.
No, in Little
Rock, Arkansas.
Now, our first month, like I said, we had a lot of learning experiences our first month. Our second month was our cleanup event, and that went great. We made a video about that. You can check that video out, or our previous video about the cleanup event that we had. And we had a great turnout. The government was out there. We had QTV out there. The planning for it went great. And we got our first client as well here in the Gambia in November, our second month. And that was great as well. I'm lying. In October, we had a client too. From America. It was a church. And that was interesting. In November, we got our second client. And that really helped big time us get through November, everything that we were trying to do. And, she's amazing. We're building a website for her that's basically complete at this moment. And within the next week or 2 weeks, that website will be launching. So November was a great month of not just exploration, but completion and learning new things and setting new ground and moving to new steps. November was the first month that we made our first stove. And, we got our stove in our household and we gave one to our neighbor. So that was a great month for us. And now we're moving into December. And December, we're seeing already is all types of different changes, from our association to our land, to new events that we have planned, to partnerships with the government. There's a lot of stuff that's going on in this month. And I can't even imagine, just even tomorrow, we have a lot of great stuff that she's going to be doing. She has a business meeting tomorrow. So every month, so far, we've only been here two and a little bit over 1 week, 2 months and a little bit over 1 week. Every day here is a learning experience. Every day here, our kids are learning. Our kids are experiencing new things. So we just can't wait for the rest of our family to be able to come and share this experience. And we can't wait for more diasporas, more repats from all over the globe to come and have an experience in Africa, bring their wealth to Africa and keep it here.
Yeah. And another thing, that I've really seen a difference from October to now is the mental and the spiritual side of me as a person. In America, I was a very, very sad and depressed person.
Stressed.
I was very sad and depressed. My entire life, I've had to take care of my family, and anything that I felt like should have been my own was never mine. But leaving that environment and moving to Texas, where I met Adam, I had a taste of of freedom, you know, in a sense of freedom and what that could possibly feel like for me. But after I got pregnant with our first child, I moved back home for the support that I thought that I was going to receive, and I went back into that rut, back into that energy, back around the same people, the same negativity. And so moving here, I'm seeing more of me being less of that. I used to cuss like a sailor. Like I was not saying one word without the other word being a cuss word. Here, since I've been here, I haven't had the urge to use as many of those words. I'm not gonna say that I don't cuss, you know, here and there, but I'm seeing it less within myself. A relationship between Adam and I, we talk about this a lot on our podcast.
Yes, Young Melanated Marriage.
So
make sure you check that out.
Yeah, check our podcast out. But between the two of us, it's way less
stress, arguments.
Yeah, conflict. That's the word I'm looking for. It's way less conflict, and the conflict was always spurred by stress, and that's not something. When you're in it, sometimes, most times, you can't identify it, and so being out of it, and looking back on it and reflecting, we were able to pinpoint and recognize and see where a lot of the stresses came from, and they're slowly but surely. Nothing happens overnight. Nothing happens in 2-3 months. Nothing even happens in a year. Sometimes, and sometimes things happen sooner. So, you know, everything is different for everybody. Don't think that because I'm saying this about myself, you'll come and have the same experience. But we're seeing that in this time frame that we've been here, that we've been able to communicate more, fight less. We've been seeing that we've been able to see our goals come to life instead of just having the conversation. Because in America, we would just have the conversation all the time. When we get to Africa, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this. But being here and having more of a positive energy, we've been able to foster and bring down our ideas into a physical. And so I definitely think that moving here has allowed us to shift into the energy that we were already on track into, but we just still had that roadblock called the KKK, and it was in front of us. But now that we're here, we were able to honestly and truly let go and shift into that energy. You know,
hindsight is 20/20, and having perspective of being able to see the entire forest and not just one tree is very big. And I always talked about this before we came. I knew where our stress was coming from. I knew where most of our arguments were coming from. You know, I knew all of this years before. You know, I wanted to move to Africa maybe a year or two before I even spoke to my wife about moving to Africa, because I knew the value of rolling out something to someone. You can't just divulge everything. People won't understand, they won't get it. I knew that it would take time. But once she was on board with me and we made the decision to start saving up, start making certain life moves to come to Africa, I knew that the move there would change everything for us. So we're here now, we're in that mind state now, we're in that existence now, and everything has been a complete 180 from where we were living in the States.
Nikikucheki na zirani, sio kama nimekunywa pombe. Nimeokoka lakini urembo wako mama unanimada. Mimi napigwa na butwa